It's funny how fast a normal night can flip on you, like 1 second you're just another guy stopping for gas, and the next second you're standing under harsh fluorescent lights with red and blue reflections crawling across your chest, and you already know deep in your gut that whatever comes next isn't really about what you did. It's about how you look doing it. That night, I wasn't looking for trouble, wasn't thinking about anything heavy, just tired in a bone-deep way. You only get after emotional days, still wearing my dress uniform, because I'd come straight from a memorial service, one of those quiet, respectful ceremonies where everyone pretends they're fine and nobody really is. I pulled into the gas station thinking about my mom, about how she'd probably still be awake even though it was late, how she always was. And I remember thinking I just wanted to get there, hug her, eat whatever she cooked, and sleep without alarms or radios for a night. You know what I mean? And then I hear tires crunch too fast on concrete, lights explode behind me, and before I even turn all the way around, a voice snaps loud and sharp. Step away from the vehicle now. Not hello, not evening, not a question, just an order. And right there, my shoulders tighten because I've heard that tone before, not in combat, not overseas, but right here at home, the confirmation that I've already been sorted into a category I didn't choose. I turn slowly, hands open, because training sticks, even when you wish it didn't, and I say, calm as I can, "Is there a problem, officer?" He looks at me, really looks, eyes scanning the uniform, the ribbons, the rank, and then he smirks like he caught a kid with his hand in a cookie jar and says, "Where'd you get that costume?" I remember thinking, wow, okay, so that's where we are already. I tell him it's not a costume, that I'm active duty, that I just came from a ceremony, and before I can even finish the sentence, he cuts me off, tells me to put my hands on the car, says something about stolen valor, federal crime, all that, like he's been waiting to say it his whole career. Inside something twists, not anger exactly, more like disbelief, mixed with exhaustion, because here I am, wearing something I earned through years of pain and sacrifice, and this man decides in 3 seconds that it must be fake. I do what I'm told anyway, because I know how this goes if you don't, and I ask politely what I'm being detained for, and he leans in close enough that I can smell his coffee breath, and says, "Don't argue with me." That's when I realize he's not curious, he's not investigating, he's confirming a story he already wrote in his head on the drive over. I tell him I have my military ID, that I can show him that he can verify everything with one phone call, and he laughs a short, dismissive laugh like I just told him the dumbest lie he's heard all week. I pull out my CAC card, slowly narrating my movements, because that's how you stay alive in moments like this, and I hand it to him. He glances at it, barely looks, and hands it back like it burned him, says it's fake, says anyone can buy those online. I almost laugh then because it's so absurd, it feels like a bad movie, and I point out the security features, the chip, the hologram, the things you don't fake for $20, and he just shakes his head, says looks fake to me. I gesture to my chest to the ribbons lined up in exact order, the medals that have specific rules about placement, and I tell him he can verify every single one, that there are databases, duty officers, whole systems built for exactly this, and he steps closer, chest-puffed, voice harder, and says, "I don't need to call anybody. I know what I'm looking at." And right there, standing under those lights with strangers starting to slow down and watch phones coming out, I understand this isn't about evidence, it's about ego, and ego doesn't like being wrong. He tells me to take the uniform off right there at the pump, like it's nothing, like it isn't asking me to strip off years of my life in public, and I feel my jaw clench because that uniform isn't just fabric, it's funerals and blood and promises, and I tell him no, calmly, clearly, that I'm not doing that it's unreasonable and unlawful, that I've shown ID and asked for verification. He radios for backup, calls me belligerent, which is almost funny given how calm I'm standing there, and a couple more deputies roll in. You can see the difference immediately in their faces, the way they take in the scene and realize it doesn't line up with the story they were probably told. One of them asks me who I am, and I tell her, steady voice, same words I've said 100 times in briefings, and I give her the base, the unit, the duty number, all of it. She starts to dial, and that's when the original deputy grabs her arm and says, "We don't need to call." I see her eyes flash, I see the other deputy's eyebrows lift, and then the first deputy mutters something that sucks all the air out of the moment, something like, "You really think he's that?" And there it is, plain as day, not even hidden anymore. The belief that someone who looks like me doesn't belong in a uniform like this. There's a beat of silence, the kind that stretches, and I close my eyes for half a second, because I've been here before, not exactly like this, but close enough to recognize the feeling. The deputy tells me to turn around, says I'm under arrest, and in that moment I make a decision that people later like to debate online like it's hypothetical. I could resist, I could argue louder, I could force the issue physically, but I know exactly how that story ends. So instead, I turn around, put my hands behind my back and say, "For the cameras and the record, I'm complying under protest. This arrest is unlawful." The cuffs go on tight, deliberately, tight, metal biting into my wrists, and I hear people yelling, strangers telling him to call the base to check my ID, telling him he's wrong, and he ignores all of it because once you've decided someone is beneath you, you don't hear their defenders. The ride to the station is quiet, and sitting there in the back, dressed like a hero and treated like a fraud, I feel a different kind of vulnerability than anything overseas, because this time the danger isn't coming from an enemy who admits he's won. At the station, the booking sergeant looks up and freezes when he sees me. Actually freezes and says out loud what everyone else is thinking. "What the hell is this?" The deputy says, "Stolen valor, fake uniform, fake ID." And the sergeant steps closer, looks at the ribbons, the tailoring, the shoes.